I'm Mark Boylan.
And I'm Eddie Cusimano.
And welcome to this month's edition of Eye on New Paltz. What do we got this month, Andy?
Well, we have a story on the Science Building, a story on the Rail Trail, Campus Police, an art exhibit, and a second segment of Campus Geniuses.
Not bad. All this on Eye on New Paltz next.
Welcome to the WMPC office. This is the backbone of this great institution of ours. And though it looks small right now, this is just one corner of it. There's actually 3 other corners if you look around. But we'll show that to you later. Right now, we'll introduce the stories.
All right, and our first story is with Josh. It's on the new Science Building in Bevier Lot. And let's go to him right now.
With COYKENDALL Science Building closed for an indefinite period of time, the college has constructed a new modular laboratory building to accommodate students and faculty. At a ceremony on March 20th, college officials and special guests spoke about the new building.
As you know, spring is the time when new green things come out of the ground. Well, here at New Paltz, we do things a little bit differently, and so as you'll see in a little bit, New Paltz is where a gray and maroon building comes out of the ground on the first day of spring. And we think it is a good omen, and we look forward to using that building for many, many purposes.
This building is an answer to where and how we will continue to meet our commitment to meaningful and effective laboratory instruction and research in the sciences.
The building cost almost $1 million to construct and about $2 million to supply with laboratory equipment. A. David Klein, Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, is pleased with the new addition to campus.
In late December, things were not going very well. What we needed then, of course, were women and men of action. And I think it would have been very easy for unimaginative, non-adaptive, to use Darwin's term, people to reason the modular science building out of existence, but instead they reasoned it into existence. I think that most of us that have seen it a bit are very, very taken by it, and I intend to use it very well.
The keynote speaker was H. Graham Jones, Executive Director of the New York State Science and Technological Foundation. He spoke about the importance of scientific careers.
Many of our kids are not particularly motivated about getting into science and engineering, and that we really ought to do something about that. And I hope very much that within this building, one of the things that will happen is that we will teach the excitement of technical careers. Too many people think of a scientific career and they think of test tubes and they think of engineering drawings and they think of a lifetime of that stuff and they say to themselves, how tedious. Science is absolutely an integral part of the educated man and woman in our world.
SUNY Chancellor D. Bruce Johnstone was on hand to praise the college for its handling of the PCB incident.
It's tested you and your colleagues and your community and most of all your campus beyond the limit that we ought to test, but you've come through it magnificently. Today, what I'm so delighted to be part of is celebrating the return of a vibrant campus back about its business, not without problems ahead of it still, but without question back to the long-range, fundamental, important agenda of this campus. The new Paltz that was, the new Paltz that still is, the new Paltz that will be, with a solid future, because New York State and the Mid-Hudson region need New Paltz that is growing, New Paltz with a vision. New Paltz deserves it.
The presentation was followed by the ribbon-cutting ceremony.
See you. 2, 1, cut! Oh, you will.
Outstanding! Hey! Good job.
Tours were then given of the new facility designed to replace COYKENDALL, which won't be open until at least the spring of 1993.
Okay, thanks, Josh, for that story about the new science building.
I have a couple more dots to go.
Andy's playing Pac-Man over here, one of the fringe benefits of working here at WNPC.
Oh.
How you doing?
Good.
You doing good?
I only have one
Don't
more
mess
dot
up.
left.
Don't get nervous.
Ah!
Don't get nervous. Anyway, let's go to our next story, the rail trail, with Mike Valero.
Have you heard about the Walkill Valley Rail Trail? Oh, me neither. So I guess we'll just use this time as sort of an open discussion time. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Of course I'm kidding. The rail trail is actually an off-road bike trail which extends all the way from Gardner in the south up through New Paltz. How the rail trail got its name is quite simple. Years ago, this rail trail was a railroad. To shed some light on this somewhat obscure past of the rail trail, we visited a local New Paltz historian for a first-hand account.
I remember this rail trail, the Walkill Valley Rail Trail, when it was a railroad, and it was nice. We were all sort of sorry when it stopped running. When I was a little boy, they still had passenger trains on this Walkill Valley Railroad, and they would stop in New Paltz, and for example, they delivered freight as well to the lumber yards and so on, but the passengers would get off in New Paltz and be met in carriages by Mohunk, and they would drive up to Mohunk if they were going to be guests of Mohunk, or if they were coming here, for example, to our house, members of the family, I would go down to meet them. But that's the last trains ran about 15 years ago, and it's just like everywhere else. I mean, the trucks took over and the roads, and there was declining business, and finally it wasn't profitable, so they stopped.
The rail trail only opened last year, and some may take it for granted, but a lot of work went into its conception. Alan Stout was one of the leaders in this endeavor.
There are two sections now that we have access to. It runs a total of 12 miles, 12.2 miles, and it passes through the town and village of New Paltz in the northern section, and in the southern section through the town of Gardner. So in the town of New Paltz, it's a joint ownership of the town and village. But in the town of Gardner, it's owned by the Walkill Valley Land Trust. It's a park. It's a recreational facility. Families can go walking or bike riding now. You kind of have to have a bike with fat tires. A skinny tire 10-speed wouldn't do too well on it. But it's a great place for cross-country skiing, too. I skied on it last year. Unfortunately, this year when there wasn't snow to ski on. And it's appropriate for horseback riding, anything non-motorized. Snowmobiles and the four-wheeler ATV type of things are not permitted on the trail. My favorite part of the trail is the bridge that passes over Plattekill Creek. That's maybe about a mile south of here, and you have a very panoramic view toward the west.
And speaking of the west, unfortunately the sun is setting on our little segment for today. But remember, the rail trail is here for everyone, and it's free. So if you're into the outdoors, go nuts. And if you need a little more info on the rail trail, stop in at one of the bicycle shops in New Paltz. Surely they'll be glad to fill you in. Unless you're going to be rude about it. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Now back to you nutty guys.
Okay, thanks for that story, Mike. I didn't even know the rail trail existed.
Either did I.
How about that? Well, we'll get to our next story right after these messages. Hi, welcome back to Iron New Paltz.
A couple days ago, I went driving around with campus police to take behind-the-scenes look on how they operate.
Sort of like cops?
Yeah, it's cool.
Wow, let's go to it.
Okay. I went driving around with one of the officers of campus police to see what actually happened on a typical Thursday night. What's your name and your rank?
My name's Bob Bramley, and I'm just a regular patrolman.
How long have you been campus police?
I've been here over 10 years.
And what's actually the difference from campus police and regular police officers? besides, you know, your jurisdiction areas and stuff?
Not much. We do basically the same things, plus we do a few added things.
Such as?
We have to take care of all the buildings here on campus where they, as a regular police officer, you know, you have your businesses that they take care of. But we do a lot of services, opening, locking the buildings, turning on alarms, turning off alarms. This semester, because of the PCB contamination, we have added services. We've got to keep an eye on the fenced-in areas, the buildings that are closed. We've got one officer stationed up there 24 hours a day, just keeping an eye on the buildings. Plus, we respond to all medical calls on campus. So a lot of us have gotten extra training in first aid, and we've become first responders. And we do a little bit of everything here.
Have you ever been a regular police officer, but a police officer for town? Or?
Yes, I was for 7 years. I worked for the New Paltz Police.
Oh, okay. What made you take the transition?
Local town politics, you know, in a small town, and I had it up to my ears with politics. I was young and single and quit.
And even though they don't carry any weapons, they do encounter life-threatening situations.
We had a call a few years ago. There was a visitor on campus who supposedly had a weapon on him. We found him later on that night, and he did indeed have a loaded .38 in his possession.
How did you apprehend him?
Some of the guys in the cars were chasing him up through the quad here, and I was on foot patrol that particular evening. And I was here in Bliss Hall, and he was last sighted going across. So I ran across from Bliss over to the back of McKenna Theater, and he doubled back. And when I saw him, he was, you know, just right there, and it was just, you know, one of those times when you just react, you know, and he was apprehended right there.
So, the campus police have plenty of responsibility. They're very diligent in their jobs in keeping the campus a safe place for all that use the facilities. Because remember, they do more than just give out parking tickets.
I like that story.
You think so?
Yes.
I just wish there was more excitement.
You should do
on.
town police. That's what you should do.
Maybe.
That might be a little bit more exciting.
I'll do that next month.
All right. Why don't we show you the office?
Yeah.
We said we were going to. Okay, right over here is Maz. Okay, and she usually just sits there and holds the boom. All right, and right there's Mark. There's Mark. Say hi, Mark. And that's the desk, and that light is usually on it.
Yeah, Josh doesn't mind.
Right, and here's my mailbox over here, but you can't see it with the stickers on it.
Right.
So there you have it.
That's one heck of an office.
All right, so why don't we go to our next story, which is on the art exhibit over in the art gallery with Billy.
Space is a quality that I find interesting about jazz, and the Search for Freedom African American Abstract Painting exhibit, which has been running here at the Art Gallery at SUNY New Paltz, not only explores the use of space and makes good use of space, but shows you space itself. And that's always been one of the enduring qualities of African American music, as I enjoy it, jazz. And jazz improvisation plays into some of these works. Let's go around and check them out. bebop came out of New York City and is strongly evident in these paintings. At least that's what I get from them. Jazz, New York, the search for freedom. We hope you've enjoyed this very jazzy art exhibit here on New Paltz.
Hey, speaking of art, we'll be Bach, and you be Mozart right after these messages.
Dude, that was horrible.
What?
I have to leave.
It was a Jen Dusek joke. It's supposed to be funny. Wait, come back. Hi, welcome back to New Paltz, and our next story is on... Yeah, Andy. Andy, come back. We're doing the next show. Next segment. Come on. Come on, sit down.
I was walking.
Do they pay you for this?
Well, it comes out of your salary.
Speaking of geniuses, here's our next segment of Geniuses at New Paltz with Ghia.
Welcome back to another edition of Geniuses of New Paltz. On our last program, we recruited unsuspecting students to answer several general questions. We merely wanted to see if the educational system has been fulfilling its job of teaching their students a higher understanding and learning. Well, our first segment was so shocking that our investigative team of reporters decided to continue the search in hoping to find someone to answer our in-depth trivia questions correctly. So here we are at the sub, hoping to find that one unique person who can tell us all those answers. Name the Great Lakes.
The Great Lakes. Michigan, Superior, Oregon.
The Hudson, which is not a lake, it's a river.
I can name one. Lake Placid.
You got Lake Michigan, you got Lake Surprise, Lake Ontario, Lake,
Oh, this is terrible. I'm a social studies teacher. I should know this.
Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior, Huron.
Huron, Erie, Michigan.
I have no idea, man. See you later.
Okay, how many bones are there in the human body?
Gee, I don't know.
A gazillion, I have no idea.
800? Oh, no. That looks all stupid now. 36? I don't know.
26 ribs.
208 or 206? 206.
Rough guess 652.
What is E equals MC squared?
Say what?
Oh, man, I knew that. It's from chemistry or something. Not equality. Something mass. MC. Something with space.
Why are you asking me questions I don't know?
E is energy, M is mass, C is constant equal to the speed of light.
The atomic bomb.
Oh, my God, I'm going to look so stupid.
What is the name of Winnie the Pooh's human friend?
Tito.
That one you got me on.
The tiger was Tigger. I didn't know he had a human friend.
Bob?
Christopher Robin.
No. It's Robinson. It's something Robinson. Jackie Robinson or Robinson somebody.
Sing the theme song to the Brady Bunch.
I'm not gonna sing.
Oh my God.
No, because I really hate the Brady Bunch.
Nope.
Do you know the words?
Nope. Oh, good Lord. Couldn't I just sort of rap it? No, I'd rather not.
Do I have to? I can't sing, but want me to mouth it or like lip sync it? Sing it. Here's a story of a lovely lady. Is that enough? Okay, that's enough.
And the easiest way to remember the Great Lakes is with the acronym HOMES. Lake Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. There are 206 bones in the body, and E equals mc squared stands for energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. And Christopher Robin is the name of Winnie the Pooh's friend. And we discovered some very talented people here at New Paltz to sing the theme song of the Brady Bunch. Here they are.
Here's a story of a lovely lady
who is bringing out three very lovely girls. Hair was in her head of gold, like their mother, the youngest one in class.
Here's a story of a man named Brady who was busy with three boys of his own. They were four men living all together, yet they were all alone.
Till the one day when the lady met this fellow, and she knew it was much more than a hunch.
At this group, and somehow form a family. And that's the way we all became the Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch.
That's the way we became the Brady Bunch.
So thank you for joining us on this edition of Geniuses at New Paltz.
Okay, now we know who these smart people are. Yes, I am one of them.
Me too.
Anyway, that concludes this edition of Eye on New Paltz. I'm Mark Boylan.
And I'm Eddie Kusmano.
And we'll see you next month. WMPC? Yeah, just a minute. Andy, here. Doc?
The lights are out. Oh my god. Ooh, look cute.